Streaming. Good morning, everyone. How are you all? How are you all doing? So, are we live, guys? Can you all hear me? Okay, great, guys. So, how many of you are from the old Java or Python fundamental batch, or who all are joining for the first time? Yeah, guys. So, all are joining for the first time? Okay, great. Okay, many of you are from. So I think this is a first time we are conducting. Normally we conduct session in the evening, but yeah, this time we thought of doing sessions in the morning also. Okay, great. I think many of you are joining just for the first time also. Okay, guys, great. So I hope all of you are doing great. Yeah. Sasyakar. Okay, guys, great. Okay. On this platform. Okay, guys, great. I think let's start. So I'll just give you a basic idea of like what is Nest4 code doing, and then we'll start with the today's agenda. So I think today, right, we'll see about the different questions, right, which we normally see in interviews. So like how the class building will look like, what is default constructor, what is the new keyword, what is the use of static keyword, what is difference between abstraction and encapsulation. Can you please explain abstraction with example? Does Java support multiple inheritance? What is difference between abstract class versus interface? Which one is better, abstract class or interface? What are getter setters? What are access modifiers? What is default method is interface? Can we mark the constructor private? Can you create object of abstract class? Is it necessary for abstract class to have abstract method? What is compile time polymorphism? What is runtime polymorphism? What is a method overriding? What is method overloading? Difference between method overriding and overloading? What are the benefits of? One second. What are the benefits of method overriding? What are the benefits of method overloading? Can you override a method by just changing the return type? Can you override a private method? What is the meaning of protected modifier? What is the use of private method when nobody can access it? Difference between a static method and an instance method. Can you mark constructor static? What is the meaning of protected modifier? Okay, so I think these are few questions which we select, right? I think it will be around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's around more, like around 30 questions which we have select, which you will normally see in the interviews. Yeah, so yeah, we'll covering everything from start to end for the OP principles. So I think like many of you might have a subject as OP methodologies, right? But don't worry, guys. I think that subject you do in complete semester. But today we'll be covering. So sessions will be today and tomorrow, guys, 2 hours. So it will be 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. today and tomorrow. So we'll be spending 2 hours in 2 days, and then you will can after the attending for these 2 days, right, you can proudly say in the interviews, right, you know OP concepts. It will be, guys, 2 hours for these 2 days. Okay, so before we start, guys, I think what you can do, right, you can have your friends also joining. You can just share the link with your friends also, so everyone get benefit, guys. I think knowledge is good to share. And in the meantime, I'll just share you like why Nest for code. So guys, we started this community, right, I think 4 or 5 months back, and we have thousands of students. Like we conducted free sessions on Python fundamentals. We conducted sessions on Java fundamentals. So if you are completely new to Java, You can also go through the Java fundamental list and you will understand. And our focus is always, it's not just like we do concepts plus coding in any language because coding is also required. Yeah, the main objective is of Nest for Code is like helping students in terms of like, so they also get the quality education. So they get quality education and they learn these things. Okay, guys. So I think many of you already know, right? Many of you already know, or you are already a part of Nest for Code. Few of you are joining us for the first time, right? Okay, so I am Gaurav. I'm having around 7+ years of experience in industry in working in Java, Python, and other front-end technologies. I know Java, Python, SQL, React, Redux, JavaScript, SQL Server, and a lot of other scripting, shell scripts. So I know a lot of these technologies. Okay, yeah. So like we are taking a time from our schedule like to help students in terms of their placements, jobs. So we're trying to improve the quality of education in India. So this is the main objective, guys. Starting this and also making like everything affordable to the students. They are not paying hefty amount for basics or for right. Like it's not just that just for learning core Java, people are spending 10,000 and all right. Or just learning for Python, people are spending 15,000. So this should not be the case. So we're trying to change the level of education because quantity there is and guys quantity there is no the quantity you will find everywhere. There is a lot of things which are residing. You can have a lot of videos. There are a lot of things are there, but the issue is people. There is nothing is structured. So if I ask you, right, if you want to say prepare for these questions, which we have selectively taken, right, all these questions. So you have to Google search and all, and I can assure you that you will spend 4 hours just searching these questions, not preparing. And even we can put recorded videos because the objective of live session is so guys learn all these things with live sessions. Okay. Okay, so guys, I think before yeah guys, so learning technologies guys, even I know C++, but yeah it goes with time guys, like it's like you can slowly learn all these technologies. It's not just in 1 year or 1 month you complete, right? I have 7+ year of experience, so with time it comes in guys, like you keep enhancing, you keep learning new things. Okay. Okay guys, so before I start, so I just want to know how many of you know Java fundamentals, like Java basics. How many of you know? Okay, guys. So now let's focus on the learning part because many of you are here for learning or for interview. So, guys. Okay, okay, okay. Many of you know already Java basics fundamentals. From fundamentals, I mean like loop or if-else conditions. At least the basics of Java, everyone knows, right? Okay, okay, great. Okay, guys, good. So the one thing, right? So I think most of you have heard of OOP, right? We know object-oriented principles. So can you tell me, guys, why do we use object-oriented principles? Anyone? Or if I talk about why you don't see C, why where like you will see if I compare C or Java. So what the edge Java have when like because C doesn't have OOPs, right? C doesn't have any OOPs concepts. But Java have a OP methodologies or concepts. So what do you think where Java have an advantage? Well, so why like if I ask you, right, many of you might have done a subject as a subject only, right? OP methodologies. I think it's in most of the universities is there, right? So can you tell me like why do you actually do this OP? Why do you need OP? So the reason is guys, in C we have functions, right? Or C is a procedural language, right? But when it comes to large systems, right? So if I talk about say large systems, large applications, they cannot be developed using, they are difficult to develop using functions. right? Because what OP provides you, it's provide you maintainability, guys. So I think the reality is, right, in industries, maintainability means to maintain. So in industries, most like the more time people, less time people invest on development and more time they spend on the actually maintaining the applications, right? So this is the reason we need OOP. I know, right? Whatever you guys talking about, it's also right, but all these comes with a like data hiding and all these things comes with a OOP principle. So these are all things which OOP provides you. But the reason of using OOP is it provide you maintainability, guys. It's provide you easy enhancements, guys. It's more structured. This is a reason, right? Let us suppose if I write 1,000 methods in different files, it will be very difficult to manage. But in case of object-oriented programming, when we talk about objects and classes, it's more structured, it's easy to maintain, it's easy to enhance. Okay. Okay, I think, yeah, many of you are saying due to objects, yeah, this object the complexity is reduced. Guys, I would say that someone is saying the number of code can be reduced, guys. But I would say in case of OOP, number of code will be more. The number of lines of code you will write in case of object-oriented programming will be more as compared to a procedural language like C. Because you try to create objects, you try to create class for and all, but we are okay with more number of lines of code because we know it's going to grow big, right? We are not just writing 4 or 5 functions. So I think Vedant said that the number of code can be reduced, but the number of code will be ideally more. Okay. Reusability also increases. You can reuse your code. Code reuse you can also do, guys, in case of functional procedure also. If you have a functions, you can also reuse in that case. Security, we can say security is kind of a feature which Java itself provide, guys. But these are the main thing, right? Mentality, instrument structures. Okay, now let's move on to the classes and objects, guys. I think this is very basic thing and we have some definition always in mind. So I think I want to know from you guys, I think many of you know a few concepts, so I want to know first from your side, what are classes, what are objects, guys? What do you think, like what are object or what are classes? Just a definition of whatever you know, guys, about classes or objects. I just want to hear from you guys also. I think this will be like, you guys also, because it's better to learn for you also, because you will have something in mind. Okay, classes, someone is saying it's a group of objects. Okay. Anything else, guys? It's a blueprint. It's an instance of class. Okay. Blueprint is class. Okay, great. Also, like, can you guys give me some examples also of class or objects? Blueprint of real world entity. Okay. Collection of functions. Okay. What else? Okay, object is a real world entity. Class is animal, dog, cat. Okay. Okay, it's a real world entity. Okay, I think I got some examples. Although someone is saying animal is a class, and we have a dog, cat as objects. Okay, entire lion is also object. Okay, just a unit to represent something. What else, guys? What else you have in mind? I think like whenever you learning, right, it's better you also share your thoughts because you will be able to correct yourself also if you are wrong, or will have good number of inputs also. Objects is instance of a class. Okay. Group of objects. I think group of objects we already written. Okay. Okay. I think guys, it's just unit to represent something. Okay. It's a unit. Okay. I think we have good number of inputs. Okay. So we'll see OOPS principle also, but first let's clarify our class does not consume memory. Okay, it doesn't consume memory. Okay, we'll see this part also. This consumes memory. Okay. Object is a representation of class. Okay, guys. I think great. We have good inputs, guys. So, guys, when we talk about classes, right? I think these are somewhere, right? Yeah, it's a blueprint of real objects. We cannot say it as a group of objects because class in itself will not have objects, but yeah, it will provide you a blueprint. So, right? So when we're talking about class, yeah, it's just a like blueprint. You can say it's a blueprint or representation, right? For objects or real world objects, right? So something like it's just provide you a structure. Like this will be a class, which will have this will be a format will be following. So it's kind of a blueprint. When we talk about objects, right? You can say it is as an instance. So many times we say instance of a class, but I would say, right, it's something which exists, guys. Okay, so can you tell me, guys? I think someone gave an example like dog, cat, tire, lion. These are objects. So these are objects, guys, or class? Are these objects or classes, guys? So if I talk about dog, cat, tire, lion, these are objects or classes, guys? Classes? I think now someone saying classes or someone saying objects, guys. Okay. So guys, object is actually something which exists, right? Which actually exists, which is an instance of a class. Okay, I will take you one more example. Let us suppose if I talk about chair. Chair would be a class or an object. Or if I talk about say table, table will be a class or object. Similarly, if I talk about say lion, lion will be a class or object. Or if I talk about say tiger, tiger will be a class or object. I think someone is saying class, someone is saying. So guys, when we talk about chair, I cannot say this is a chair which exists, right? So it will be some specific chair I will be talking about. Something like if I talk about my chair. Or if I something like say Hari's chair, any name, right? Sorry, this, right? If I talk about a particular chair, that will be a object, guys. So all these are classes, guys. These are classes. These are not all objects, right? If I talk about any particular chair, similarly, if I talk about any particular table, right? Like our table or something like this, any particular table if I talk about, that will be object, otherwise table will be a class. If I talk about lion, if I'm talking about a particular lion, right? Maybe I'm not getting any good name for lion, maybe like there is a lion which a name says Sheru. Okay, so this will be an object. So when we are talking about something specific which actually exists, right? Then it will be an object, otherwise it will be a class. Clear, guys? Okay, so I hope this is clear to you guys. So all these, right, they are not objects, guys. Furniture is not a class. So if I think many of you have confusion, guys, so you can have something like this. You can think it of a animal can be a class, and there can be subclasses for this. Lion, tiger, and all. These are not objects, guys. These are still a class. When I talk about particular, right? When I talk about particular table, I'm talking about, like, let us suppose if you talk about, say, your dining table, so that particular table which is there, it will be an object. Otherwise, a table itself is a class, right? When I talk about lion, it will be a class. But when I talk about, say, particular lion which you have seen in some zoo or something, that will be particular object, right? Say chair, table, and all, they will be. Yeah, you can think it of something like a, we'll talk about it in inheritance, but yeah, you can think it of a super class and subclasses, but there is still a class, guys. Unless or until you don't create an object of it, it's not an object. It's still a class. I think many people have this confusion, that's why. But it's good, guys. At least you guys have some input, so that's great. And don't worry, guys, like, keep participating. That's why, like, you will, because now you know, right? At least you give a thought that law and tiger, you were having these examples as a classes, but now you will understand that these are, sorry, as a objects you have these examples, but now you will understand all these are classes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. So now let's move on to, like, how you can create objects in Java. Let's see the code part. That how all these object creation works in Java. Okay, so let's see the how we create objects and all, and then we'll move on to the constructor part also. We'll see how the constructor works, guys. Okay, so let's start with. So I think we'll be using Eclipse, guys, in this class. So I think if you're not familiar with Eclipse, that's also fine. Like, you just get an idea. You'll just create a new project, but that's fine, guys. If you're new to Eclipse, there is no issues, guys. You can just focus on the Java code part. Okay. Yeah. So don't worry, guys. I will provide you the all this PPT and code. I will provide you. Okay. So let's try to create a class. Okay, well, let's suppose we create a class, say, employee. Okay, we can create any class, but for now, let us suppose we are creating an employee class, right? So guys, always a class, right? It has some instance variables, or right, it has some instance variable and other things. Okay. So okay, I will maybe talk about that first. What is a class, instance variables, and other things. Then we'll move on to the Java part, guys. So when we talk about any classes, right? So there will be some states, properties, and there will be also, guys, behavior. We can say them as a methods, guys. Right? So this is also always we have. Is it fine now? So we have state, properties, behavior, methods. Like, these are also called as instance variables, and these are instance method, guys. Right? So always, right, there will be some, like, let us suppose if I talk about, say, any class, right? If I say talk about animal class, so there will be some properties for animal class, right? Like, you can think it of like something like eyes, ears, number of eyes, ears, like this, right? Or there will be some behavior also. right? Like walk, sleep. So these are different types of behaviors which any object or class will have, or these will be different properties or variables which class will have, right? So this is how always we have some classes, like some state properties which we represent with an instance variable, or some behavior which we represent with methods case. Let us suppose if I talk about say employee class, right? So employee class will also have some methods, right? Maybe it can be a like say name, ID, right? These kind of methods can be there. Or in behavior it can be like a mark attendance, work, right? Or go to office. So it can be different types of behaviors which employee class will have. Okay, so let's see how it will be, like how we represent all this in Java. Okay, so we've just created a class as employee, and now we create the variables or methods for this class, right? So maybe like we can have something like say int ID, right? We have int name, right? Now if you want, we can keep int salary also as a part of employee class, right? And then we can have a methods, right? Like public void go to office, right? Mark attendance, right? Something like this we can have. Or we can create here a boolean variable is present, if the employee is present or not, right? So like this we can have. Name will be a string, I think. Yeah. Good catch, guys. Name will be a string. This will be a boolean. I think we have an integer string. We have got a combination. Yeah, where can it's in SQL, guys. Okay, go to office, mark attendance, or it can be say withdraw salary or get salary, right? Something like this. We will have some behavior from something in the as a part of employee class. Okay, so I think for now we'll just not do anything implementation here. We'll just for our so like whatever the implementation would be here. So I think you will know, guys. So normally to create any methods we have some return type. Here it's just a void. We give that method name and whatever the arguments we want to pass. So for now we are not passing anything here, but that's fine, right? Okay, and we have all these. This public, these are access specifier. We'll discuss, guys, when we'll discuss about the encapsulation part. If you want, for now we can just remove these things also. But we'll not be able to call, I think. So let's keep it. Okay. And I think for now we'll just print something to see the behavior, because we're not in the actual implementation for employee, we're not doing anything around that, right? Okay. So I'm just printing this so you know like what's being called. Mark attendance. And similarly we'll have a function here. Get salary. Okay. So I think this is clear. Anyone have any doubts in this? Is this clear to all of you? This is a normal structure of a class. All these are properties and all these you can say behavior. So all these are instance variables and these are all the methods. So anyone have any doubts in this, or anyone is seeing this for first time? So this is the employee class which we have created. Okay. Okay, guys. So I hope this is clear to all of you. If anyone have any doubts, so guys keep asking doubts. You are here to learn. So if you have any doubts, just keep asking. Okay, I'm just creating a new class. We'll be try to create the object of this class, guys. Okay. Say I'm just creating a class. I just let us suppose a name. It's a main, right? This is a main class. I will create a main method here. And now we'll create the objects of the class. So guys, to create object, the format we follow is we'll have the class name. Okay, and then we have the variable name. Okay, I think we need, okay. So this is how we create objects, guys, in Java. So what we do, we just give a class name, we give a variable name. I will just say name it, say employee obj, and we created the object of this class. And now we can set all these properties also. I can just say id equal to 12, name equal to, let us suppose we say Karthik, and employee obj dot is present false, right? So like this we can do. We don't have any constructor, guys, as of now. We have not created any constructor here. So I will come to the constructor part, guys, soon. Okay. Yeah, today and tomorrow we'll be covering all these OOPS concepts in detail, guys. I think you go to any interview, any company, it's a service-based company, product-based company, for any package, you will always have a OOPS concepts in MCQs or interviews, guys. These are very important for anywhere. Like I have not seen anyone cracking an interview just without knowing the OOPS concepts, guys. Okay, and then we can call the methods also on the this class, guys. Okay, so I can say get salary. This will be called. Okay. Now let's run this, guys. When we execute this method, it calls this get salary also. So what we can do, guys, we can just add a method also, right? So we have a toString method. Okay, we are not getting default generation. Okay, 1 second, guys. Okay, so we can just say this. We'll just create a method display details, guys. Like this will display the details of the employee. Yeah, like you can do it in the same class itself, but normally it's not something you should do, guys. You should not have main method in the same class. You should always have the construction part in the other class only. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll just try to print, guys, everything about the employee. Like we'll just say ID and then plus ID. We'll have name also. Name. And we can print salary also. I'll just come to construction part, guys. Just for your visibility, I'm just adding this. This will help us later on also. It's present. Okay. So these are few details. We have got it. And we also have one option to generate. We can do toString also. So you can just do right click. This is one option also, guys, we generally use. Right. And here we have option of generate toStrings, guys. And once we do this I think this is something you get it. So it's just create a toString class for you guys. So I will explain you also what toString do, guys. For now, maybe we'll just keep it commented, guys. Maybe I'll just cover toString method also for you. Okay, and we can call here employee obj dot display detail, guys. Okay, now if we execute this, yeah, to generate is better. I agree, guys. But I think many of people don't know, so I'll just cover it part. Okay, so I will show you guys what we do. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Navina. Good to hear this. I think this is all just we want from you guys. Like at least if you're learning something, so you can. Okay, guys. So I think this is clear. I hope you understood. But now the construction part, I will just explain you guys. So what we did here, we just say employee emp equal to new employee. The people who already know Java or basics, can you tell me where this variable will be stored? Will it be stored on stack or queue? Sorry, stack or heap. Where this variable will be stored, guys? where this variable will be stored, or I think in the last fundamentals also we covered this part, right? Stack heap. So where do you think it will be stored? What do you think, guys? I'm just waiting for you. Okay, if you are saying heap, 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 if you are saying stack, okay, I will tell you guys. So one thing I will explain you. This is a class name. New is to use to construct objects, and this is a constructor, guys. This is how it works. Details will show, guys, because we are explicitly calling there. I will just show you, guys. Don't worry. Because it's commented. Comment code means it's nothing, right? It's like a no way present. Okay. So I will tell you, guys. So what happens, right? Main is a method. So there will be a main will be called on the stack, guys. So this will be a stack. Here main method will be called like this. It will be a main here. Then what we'll have? In the inside the main method, what we did, guys? We created a object of employee class empobj. So I ask you where this emp will be stored. Few said heap, few say stack. It will be stored on stack, guys. So we'll have a variable here emp, which will be created on the stack. Okay. Okay, someone is asking few more things. I will explain you, guys. Don't worry. Keep on hold. Like, let's understand this. And this is our stack, and this is our heap. Guys, objects are stored on heap. Objects are stored on heap, right? Local variables are stored on stack. So this variable belongs to main method, so it will be stored in stack, but it will be pointing to an object in the heap which will be of employee class. So here we'll be having an object which will have all these details, ID, name, and all. So got it? So the variable, if I ask you where emp will be stored, the emp variable will be in stack, but it will be pointing to a object in heap. Reference will be stored, guys, in heap if it's defined inside that. So these are these are also known as reference variables, guys. Right? So reference variable will be stored on stack, and the actual object will be stored on heap. So this will be our actual object. Objects are always created on heap, but the variables. No, emp object will not be stored, guys. Emp object will be stored in heap only. I was asking about you where the emp will be created. Emp will be created, variable will be created on a stack. So on the stack there will be a variable. On the heap there will be an object, guys. Clear? I think you got some confusion, but yeah, this is the point, guys. So variables, reference variable will be stored on stack, but the actual object will be stored on heap. Objects will always be stored on heap. There is no like primitive data types you can store on stack, but objects will always be in heap. Clear, guys? Clear, Abhinav? Okay. Okay, guys. So let's move on to the next part. So I hope this is clear to all of you now. And I told you, right, here constructor, right? I told you there is a constructor which you are calling, but we have not defined any constructor, guys, right? And what is a constructor, guys? So guys, whenever you are creating objects, right? So I would tell you, like, if you are creating a building, you are also constructing a building, right? You need So let us suppose if I am creating a building, I need different raw material and all. You need cement, you need bricks, right? And all. And using all this, you finally create a building. Similarly, we have a constructor for constructing the objects. This is called during object creation, guys. So this is the actual reason, guys. We have a constructor. This is used for constructing the object. It's called during the object creation. This also have a same name as class. It doesn't return anything. It will not return anything, guys. Right? It's not actually a method because method always need a return type, but this is not a method. And the most important part, right? If we don't define the constructor, we have default constructor, guys. So here you can see, right, we are calling employee this with this bracket. This is a call for a constructor, but we have not defined it, guys. So what happens? It's using default constructor, guys. It's using default constructor here. The next thing comes in, guys. This is clear, right? We all can also have a parameterized constructor, guys. So in constructor, you can take the arguments. So I can define a constructor something like this. No, once the object created, it will call. No. I think this point you should be clear, guys. I think someone said once the object is created, it will be called automatically. No, it's called during the object creation, guys. It will not be called after the object creation or once the object is created. It will be called during the object creation. Will not need cement or bricks after the building construction, guys, right? We'll need all these things during the building construction. So I think we should be clear in these terms, guys. Okay, parameterized constructor is like we can just define employee and we can take the arguments also, we can take the values also. I can take here, maybe if I want to take say ID 1, 2 or name, say Sumit, right? So these types of details also we can take it as a part of constructor and these will be used in the object creation, guys. Okay, now let's see the constructor part, guys. How we'll define constructor. So as I told you, guys, constructor will also have the same name. We can have a constructor say with name employee and we can define the constructor like this. So this is a default constructor which we also get automatically. Even if we don't define this, it will be there. But right, if I want to define my own constructor also, what I can do, I can define a constructor with initial values. Say it will take integer I and string name. So I think I'm considering these are the minimal values which we need as an input while creating the objects. Okay, I'm just removing the default and what I will say? I will say this dot id equal to id, this dot name equal to name. Okay, so we have used this keyword here. I'll just give you basic idea about this, guys. What is this keyword? It refers to the current object, guys. Right? It's kind, you can think it of like a pointer, but it's not actually a pointer, but this refers to a current object, guys. So whenever this object creation will be happening, this will be pointing to the current object, like whatever the objects you are creating, it will just point to that. And because the variable name defined at the instance level and these local variables name was same, so we have to use it using this, guys. This just refer to the current object. Okay, guys, so now the things comes in. Okay, let's try to, I think someone was saying if you just remove this, I can just remove this also, guys. Will it display method will work? Because display method we are explicitly printing anything, so it will work, guys. Okay, now let's go to the main method and try to run our program. Can you tell me, can anyone tell me why it's showing an error? If I run this program, execute this, exception in main, why it's, I think I'll just push it down. 1 second guys, this just changed the order. This should go down. Now it's better. Okay, I think that's fine. Yeah, so you can see unresolved, the constructor employee is undefined guys. But as I told you, there is a default constructor. But what happens guys? If we defined our own constructor, default constructor will not be there. Default constructor will not be here now. If you define your own constructor, any constructor if you define on your own, it will not have the default constructor. If you want that behavior, you have to add that constructor explicitly, or you need to use the parameterized constructor. Is it clear to all of you? So here we can create this employee using by passing the values like 12 or Karthik, and we can remove this part guys. Clear? Are you guys with me? Okay guys. Parameterized constructor will be called with parameters. Like we pass whatever the values which is expect, we'll just pass these values here. Or what we can do, we can, if we want the default behavior, we have to have a default constructor also. So if I want a default constructor, I can just add something like this, public employee, like this. We can just add a default constructor also if we want it. So I hope this is clear guys. So okay, now let's move on to the next part guys. Let's move on to the OOPS principle which we have all, and then we'll discuss the OOPS principle guys. So what are the different OOPS principle we have? We have abstraction, we have encapsulation, we have inheritance, and we have polymorphism. Okay, so these are the. So guys, when we declare both the constructor, it depends on which how you are creating the objects. I'll explain you that part. Which deleted part you are talking about? No guys, so if I, okay, I will tell you guys. So in this case, it will use a parameterized constructor guys. If I create an object like this, in this case it will use a empty constructor, or we can say use a constructor with no arguments. So in this case it will use the other constructor. You can use both the constructors guys. This will create the constructor without taking any input, and it's creating the objects with taking the inputs. Okay, so I hope this is clear, right? Don't remove the deleted part guys, which you are talking about. You can just say okay. Let's move on to the OOPS principle guys. What is abstraction guys? I think we'll see all these in details, but yeah, let's just get a brief about all this OP principle. And I would say like abstraction, encapsulation, these if they are asked in any interviews, like most of the interviews people will ask you what is abstraction, give you example, what is encapsulation. Okay, so let's start with guys encapsulation today. Encapsulation, what can you tell me guys, what is encapsulation? Which deleted part? Are you talking about toString or what guys? Just tell me which deleted part you are talking, then we can discuss this. Okay, someone is saying encapsulation is about. Okay, I think we'll just move on to the encapsulation slide. Someone is saying hiding the data. Okay. What else, guys? What else you know about encapsulation? Hiding the data. What else? Wrapping up the data. Okay. Hiding the implementation. No, I'm not talking about, guys, abstract. I'm talking about encapsulation. There is a, like, people generally get confused. Hiding complexity. No. Okay. I'll just write it for now. Hide the implementation. Okay. What else, guys? Only required part to the user. Okay. Hiding an abstraction. Okay. What else, guys? Do you have any other points? Binding. No, guys. Binding. Okay. Binding data. Variables. Group. Methods. Okay. Okay, so encapsulation, what we do in the encapsulation, guys. Okay, I will tell you the need of encapsulation first. Then we'll see about these points, whatever you guys told. So, guys, let us suppose this is an employee, right? And I have not given any modifier, anything for this. Here, I can, while creating an employee object, I can, so what can I do? I can just say ID equal to -222, like. Similarly, I can say name is equal to hello, or I can say salary also. I can say negative, right? The employee will be in loss, like this, right? If you try to get salary, you will get in loss, right? Functions will always be in the class, guys. Okay, so this is what we have tried to do, done, right? And then we'll like call display details. What will happen? So if we see for the employee 2, right? Someone marked its ID as, oh, it's coming as 12. Okay, we called it, sorry guys. I think this will be the object. We have to call all this in object 2. And for now, we'll just comment the code for employee 1. We'll just do it for 2. So what will you do for 2? ID is negative, salary like this. It's coming as, this is not a good way, right? So this is an issue we have when we expose all these properties directly to the user, which is should not be the case, right? Someone cannot play around, and this is just the employee class. Let us suppose today, if I talk about the class human, someone can just set any number of eyes to human, negative eyes. So we don't know how the system will behave in these kind of scenarios when someone play around with the data. So that's why we have encapsulation where we hide the data. We can say we wrap the data. It's not about hiding the complexity, guys. We don't hide any. This comes in abstraction. This doesn't come in encapsulation. We hide the implementation. Yeah. Only required to the part to the user. This comes in, guys, abstraction. Hiding is correct. Abstraction is not all about this. Binding, you can say. So these are the points. So encapsulation is mainly, we are just preventing our data. We are hiding the data. I think these terms are good, guys. In theory, it's good. But how we do this encapsulation? So we have all these access modifiers in Java to achieve this encapsulation. So guys, there is a thumb rule around encapsulation is private data members and public methods or getter setters. So we'll see what is getter setter means. So we have all these access modifiers. Okay, I will tell you what is this private, public, and all these keywords also means. Guys, when we use private keyword, it cannot be accessed outside the class, guys. When we say public, it means it can be accessed anywhere, guys. We also have a okay. I think someone is asking doubt. I will just explain you guys. Public, private. We also have a keyword protected. Protected means can be accessed within class, subclass, and same package. And we have a default, so there is no keyword for default. By default, if it's not specified, it will be a default, guys. So what happens in case of default, right? It can be accessed within the package. Okay. So these are all the access modifiers, access keywords which we use, guys. Okay, so how these works, guys? So I think there is a thumb rule, guys. We should always have our data members, all the instance variables as private, and we should always have our methods as public, or the getter setters we should have. Okay. Oh, in this case, I think someone is asking how the object is creating, guys. We have this constructor, guys, here. No, by default, things are not private, guys. So private means we cannot access outside the class, but default we can access outside the class within the same package, guys. So there is a difference between private and default. We need to explicitly mention. So you can see here, right? These are all default. These are all default only, right? We have not modified. We have not specified an access modifier, but we are being able to use it in main, right? We are being able to access it in main because it's in the same package, guys. So what should do? We should always have these methods as private, guys. If someone wants to access, we can just create getter setter method, guys. But we should always create them as a private. In C++, it's there, yeah. Okay, but in Java, it's like, okay, private. We'll define them private. I think C++ doesn't have a concept of something like a default, so that's why. And we also create, guys, getter setter method. So we create a method, like if someone wants a value, we'll just say get, right? We'll just say get salary. I think get salary we already defined. So let us suppose get ID, and we'll just return the ID here, right? And we'll just return what? We'll just return the ID here. I can just say this dot ID, right? So these are called getter methods, guys. So normally we create get set methods, and we can generate it also in this. And similarly, we will have public void set int method will be there, set ID. And what we'll do, we'll say this dot ID equal to ID, whatever the user will pass. And here we'll take in the argument the ID. Input ID, we can say this. Okay, so this is how we create getter setter method, guys. Right? Similarly, we'll create the getter setter for all also. And I think Eclipse provide you option to generate also. So for now, I'll just generate getter setters for others. Right? So now we have getter setter for all. You can see, right? Now things comes in, guys. We have these IDs. Okay, so what's the benefit here, guys? Okay, I've just created this thing. Now, if I try to execute this, you can see, right? It's showing you error. This employee is present is not visible, right? We cannot access it now anymore. Okay, but if this is not accessible, guys, then okay, if I run this program, it will give me errors, guys. You can just see all these fields are not visible. No one can access this directly now. Okay, so what we'll do, I'll just remove this part for now. I'll just focus on this part. Oh, sorry, I think we just deleted the. I'll just remove this part, guys. Or we'll just create a new class, guys. I think that's better. Okay, so we created a new class for encapsulation. We'll just keep the part which we want to discuss now. So guys, we cannot directly access, but okay, what we'll do, user can do like something like this, right? So you can see I am still being able to do all these things, right? Using getter setter. So how can you restrict me here, guys? Now, what should I do to save the employee? You can think it of like a save the employee, guys. How will you save the employee now? Still with a getter setter, user is being able to play around. What can we do? How can we save the employee? What do you say, guys? How can we save this employee now? What do you say, guys? How can we save this employee? What is your thought about saving this employee, guys? Still we are doing, we created getter setters, we created all these other properties private, but still it's the same thing. This is, I think, this is not required. It's still, the user is playing around with employee, and you can just set the, you can just call the display details. We are still in the same scenario, right? We are still in the same problem. It's still the same issues, guys. Yeah, we created getter setter, but still the same case, guys. We still have this ID name issues problem. So how to save this employee now? What do you say? Have we achieved anything with encapsulation? Can we do something now? So the option we have, guys, right here. What can we do? We have restrict the access, direct access, and we have these methods, and we can check things also here, guys. So I can say if ID input ID is less than 0, maybe I can just sys out or print something, right? Or we can throw exceptions also. I think for now we'll just say invalid ID, or we'll just return from here. Right? Similarly, if someone is trying to set a salary which is less than 0, we can say invalid salary. So now we have a restricted entry. So whatever we want to put, we can put here, right? Because we have restrict the user. We just close this class. Close these classes also. And now if someone try to play around with negative values, so they will get this message, right? Invalid salary, invalid ID and all. So this is how actually we use getter setters. And this is the use of getter setters. Like we'll have a restricted access. We can check before actually someone is setting a value. Is it clear to all of you? Is it clear to everyone? Got it, guys? You want me to explain once the encapsulation part? Okay. Okay, I will just explain this quickly, guys. Encapsulation is about hiding the data. We are trying to wrap up the data. Now what we are doing? We'll create the data members as private so nobody can access them directly, and we will provide the getter setter method which is public, which user can use, right? The next things comes in. Nobody can access all these properties now directly. Nobody can access. They can just access with public. But because we have exposed a setter method, someone may still try to set the ID as -1 or like this. So in these kind of scenarios, what we'll do, if someone is trying to set the ID less than 0, what we'll do, we'll just put a check here. We will not let the user to set any ID or anything which is invalid. We'll just stop here, and because we are returning from here, it will not allow to set this value. So this is how, because user have to use set integer only to do any kind of value setting on the object. So when they will use this set ID, we can just check if the ID is less than 0 or what is the, if it's less than 0, it's not a valid ID, we'll just say invalid ID and we'll just return. We'll not set the ID. Is it clear now? Have you understood why we have put this if condition? So if you, I think like even like interviewer or in normally people don't reach till this point, but this is a good thing to know. Is it clear? No? Yes, no guys, I can. Or you are confused now? What's happening? Is it clear or not, guys? You do want me to explain anything again, or let's move on to the next OOP principle? No, how will you restrict directly, guys? So let us suppose if you just don't create a setter method, then it's other thing, because you need to give the user also to access the properties, right? So you create all these methods. So you cannot access. If we just keep them private, there will be no way to access also. So if there's something which you don't want someone to access, you can just leave them private. But yeah. Otherwise, you have to create getter setters. Okay, guys. So I think let's move on to let's see some next principle, next thing. Okay, let's discuss about inheritance. So guys, what is inheritance? What is inheritance, guys? So what do you mean by inheritance? So guys, whenever we talk about inheritance is derived from inherit word only, guys. So you can think it of like inherit, and inherit means like it's a parent-child relationship. It can be a, people say it's base class or derived class, right? You can think it of a super class or subclass, right? So it's same thing, right? So when we inheriting from one, right? It's inherits from one class. When one class is inheriting from the other class, or we can say parent class inheriting, child class inheriting from parent class, or derived class inheriting from base class, right? And I think someone mentioned like it provide you also the reusability of the code, right? We don't have to write the same code again and again. Right? All these kind of features we have with inheritance. Okay. So now the things comes in, right? And the example, right? I think the example, initial example you guys were also giving, we can have animals. And the animals will be sharing some common properties. So we can have animal class and we can have the subclasses like lion, tiger and all, right? Right. So similarly, we can have say bird, or we can have the subclasses say like say parrot, penguin, ostrich, like this, right? Something like this, right? So this is how we define inheritance. And to define inheritance, we use extends keyword, guys. Okay. And whatever is there in the subclass, it will be available. Whatever there is in the super class or base class, it will be available for the derived class or the subclass. Okay. So I think let's move on to like how you implement or how you define in Java how it will look like. So maybe we can just take the similar example. Let us suppose if I'm defining a say class bird. So I've just defined the class bird, and in bird, so what are the properties you think the bird class will have, guys? What do you think a property a bird class will have? Let us suppose we are saying, I just define say integerize string. Maybe we are giving a bird a name also. Okay, so these things we can have color of a bird. Okay, so what all you think, guys? What all things would all be there in a bird class? Okay, color. What else? It can be a bird height and all things also. It will be integer, right? Height of the bird. It can be a weight of the bird also, right? Some of these kind of information will be there. So as we discussed, we'll mark all these as private, guys, right? Because we know one OP principle, so we should have all these as private. Right, and this bird can have properties also. Different properties can be there, like we say sleep, fly. These kind of properties can be there. Let's sleep, eat. Right. So I think for now we'll just put something like this out. That should be fine. Like we are not going to actual flying the bird and all. Right. We'll just keep some methods like this. Or we can also have a constructor here, which will be a bird, which might be taking say color or height and the weight. So this is how we can create the objects of the bird. And we'll just set to this dot color equal to color. We just set this dot height to height and this dot weight to weight, guys. Okay, so I think this is cool, guys. I think, right? We have just created a bird class. So now to create a subclass, right, we use extend keywords in Java. So what we'll do, we'll just define a class. Let us suppose I am saying parrot. Parrot will extends bird. So whatever is in the bird, it will be available for parrot also. But parrot can be have some other features. We can say you have seen, right? There are parrots which can select cards. We can have a parrot like can talk, right? These kind of things can also be there with the parrot, right? So we can have more features, or we can have more functions also with the class. Let us suppose we say talk, and the parrot will be start talking like this. You just say talk, right? So we added some more features in the parrot class. What it's showing error. Okay, and we think for now we'll just create a default constructor also here. Okay, and we'll keep these constructor public so anyone can create the objects of these classes. Clear? We created this parrot class also. Okay, so now let's create a new class. We will be constructing the objects of all these. So we're creating a class. We'll say construct bird, something like this. And here we'll be at the new main method. So is this clear, guys? Extend and all, how this works? Now let us suppose if I create an object of a parrot class, right? Here what I can do, I can just call the functions of super class also, guys. Fly. So you know, right? We have not defined anything in the here, right? But it will inherit, it will have anything which is there in the bird class, guys. So, so here while creating the objects of the parrot also, we can use the functions like parrot.fly. We can also use the functions like parrot.sleep. Like this, it will work because it will have all these things after the whatever is there in the parrot class. We'll just run this code, guys. So you can see, right? You can see, right? You can see it's all these functions are available. All these properties, whatever is there in the parent class would be there. Okay, but now things comes in, right? Overriding, overloading. So we'll see that in details, guys, later on. So is this clear, guys? In inheritance part to all of you? Is it clear, or anyone have any doubts in this? The codes and slides I will sharing, guys. Don't worry. Okay. So I think this is clear to all of you. This is just, and we can create similar to parrot. We can create other classes also, and it will work in the same way. This is how the inheritance works. So we don't need to define everything fly, sleep with parrot also. It can use, and whatever the features are there with the parrot, we can also use them. Okay, okay, we'll create one more, but to just suggest me one bird name, guys. Which class you want me to create? Let us suppose we just create a class, say Coil. Okay. And in Coil, let us suppose we add a new functionality. This Coil will also extend bird, right? And we also add a feature, say sing, right? So this is having an extra feature which like Coil can sing also. It will sing also. Okay. Okay, so now let's do one thing, guys. I want to do one more thing for you. So guys, here we're creating an object of parrot class, right? So one thing, guys, so here you can see the behavior. I think visibility, guys, visibility things, right, guys, we'll discuss more in once when we have a overriding and overloading, guys. I think then it's quite clear, guys. Okay, so this is what we did. We created a bird class which having all these features, all these properties, and which is having all these behavior. Then we created a subclass parrot which is extending the bird class, and it will have all things which are there in the bird class, but we have created two more properties and one more behavior, one more method we added. But it will also have the method which are there in the bird class. Here we created a new class Coil. What we did, we created we added one more property which is sing. Is it clear? Similarly, we can create the objects of Coil also, and we can pass there. But guys, there is one thing. Let us suppose I want to add a constructor in parrot class. So is it clear now to all of you? I want to add a constructor in the parrot class. Okay, but while constructing the object of parrot class, I need to set his height, weight, and all also, right? So while constructing the object of parrot class, I need to set his height, weight, and all these things also. So I want to introduce you with one more thing, which is a super keyword, guys. So we have a super method to call super class constructor, guys. We use super keyword to access super class variables and methods, guys. So these are the two use cases you will see for the super keyword, guys. Okay, so what does it mean here? Like, let us suppose you created a parrot class, and I'm trying to create a construct. I want to construct a parrot. So okay, what I will do, I'll just remove this default constructor here, guys. And now we just go to the parrot class. Okay, we'll just remove this part also, and then let's go to the construct, and let's run this program. You can see here, right? Implicit super constructor bud is undefined for default constructor must define an explicit constructor at parrot this. You can just click on this here. So you can see we are getting an exception because there is no default constructor in bud. So what happens, right? Whenever you are creating the objects, Karthik, is it clear now? So whenever you are creating the objects of a subclass, so while creating the objects of subclass, superclass constructor is called first, guys, and then subclass constructor. So first it always call the superclass constructor, and then it will call the superclass constructor. I think we'll discuss few more. I think it will be over in 10-15 minutes. We'll just have our attendance also, and then it will be over, guys. I'll just discuss these super concepts, and then we just over the class. I think you guys are. It's still one, but I think if it's like if you are cannot like it's difficult for you to get more grasp for concepts, we'll just over it soon. Okay, guys. So I think this is clear. Anyone have any doubts in super? Yes, no. Anyone have any doubts in super? Okay, so what we'll do here, we'll just calling the super constructor, guys. So if you see here, we are getting the error. The reason is when the constructor of a super class is being called, it needs color, height, weight, right? All these things should be set, but here we are not doing. So what we'll do, we'll just add a constructor in the parrot class, right? We just add a constructor in the parrot class. This will be a public constructor. And using super keyword, this what it will accept? It will accept color, height, or weight. And we can have extra things also, guys. So let us suppose if I want to get can talk also, we can just take this part also, guys. Right? So we can take all these things, and what we'll do here, we'll just call the super. Whatever is required in the superclass constructor, we pass here. Like this. And whatever we want to set here, we can just set here. Whatever the input we have. Right? So while constructing the object of subclass, we can call using super the constructor of the superclass. Guys, like if you cannot get all this concept in once, you can just go through the recording again. You will understand these things better. But these are important, guys. So like this is parrot class. While creating the parrot, it should be the bird first, right? So that's why we are calling the constructor of bird. And whatever is something new in the parrot, we are setting all these things here. So is it clear, guys? Now the concept of parrot. Sorry, not parrot. The concept of super keyword. Is it clear to all of you? Yes, no. Is it clear? So I hope this is clear till this point. So do you want me to discuss some more concepts also today, or it's you are done for today in terms of new concepts? Just tell me, guys. If you want, It's clear to all of you. Okay, guys, great. So I think this is great, guys. Okay. So let's take one more concept also today. Done. Done for today. I think we have covered good amount of concepts today. Okay, guys. So one thing we'll do, and tomorrow we'll see more about, guys, polymorphism. Okay. So one thing is also right. While defining the variables, we have one more concept here, which is about. I'll just add a new slide 1 second. Yeah. So we have one more concept also. We have a reference variable and we have objects, guys, right? We assign the objects to the reference variable. We can have reference variable of parent class, which is holding object of subclass, guys. This is possible. Tomorrow it will be also, guys, same time. We will have reference variable of parent class and the objects of the subclass. Overview I will give you, guys, don't worry. Overview I will give you. So I think we'll just connect once again. So, okay. So what I mean here, we can just create. I can create bird because parent is also a bird. So I can say bird equal to new parent. I think coil. So we'll just go and add some bird default constructor also. So coil can also survive. Coil, what's wrong with coil? Okay. Similarly, I can say in parent we don't have default constructor. I'll just add a default constructor, so it's easy for us to demonstrate this, guys. For now, we'll just adding a default constructor. Yeah. So here we can just say bird equal to parent bird1. Similarly, I can say bird2 equal to new coil. Right, like this we can create objects, guys. Clear? So like this we can create objects of, I'm not sure why it's giving error. I think parent class is not saved. Yeah. So like this, reference variable can be of parent class and the actual object can be of the subclass. Like this, it's allowed in Java. And we can call, like in the bird, I can call all the methods which are there in the superclass. I can call bird1.flight, bird1.sleep. But because the reference variable is of superclass, I cannot call the methods of subclass. So if you go to the parent class, it also have a method talk, right? But here I cannot call talk. You can see, right? It's not allowing me to call talk here. So you can only, like if the reference variable is of parent class, you cannot call the methods of subclasses, but you can call on bird1, I can also call all these methods. On bird2 also I can call all these parent class methods. Clear, guys? Is it clear to you? So this is how we can have a reference variable of, and we will see more, guys, about this in like when we do polymorphism, method overloading, method overriding tomorrow. We'll see more about this, guys. Okay, guys, so today we are good now. So I'll be just sharing one. Okay, guys. So I'll be just sharing one Zoom link with you. Like if you have any doubts, and for the attendance or the assignment, you can just connect to this Zoom meeting, guys. We'll just share this link to you. Yeah, I will just give you an overview also, and I think in YouTube there is some limitation in terms of live chat. So just connect for 5 minutes in the Zoom, and we'll just discuss about this part, guys. So I think this you can see, right, this Zoom link. So guys, you can just connect here, and we'll be having a certificate also at the end. So just connect to the Zoom link, guys. I think meeting is still there, guys. I will just ping you this Zoom link also in the chat. You can just connect there. We'll just do the attendance part also there, and the assignment also there. And guys, don't forget to subscribe also. So like whenever we are doing all these sessions, you get the notification, guys. We are just connecting now, guys. Just connect to the Zoom link, guys. I will take your doubts also, and we'll also do the attendance, guys. So there will be attendance. So like people who will be attending both the day session and complete the assignment, they will get the certificate also, guys. Right now, guys. Right now, you can just connect to the Zoom, guys. On the Zoom, we'll be doing the attendance also, guys, for today. Like people who have attended, because attendance would be required for the certificate part also, and the assignment will also be required, guys. So we'll have an assignment also, and we'll also take your doubts, because Zoom it's easy, guys, to take doubts and all. So that's why, because in YouTube there is some lag, guys, which should be there. So all of you can just quickly connect to the Zoom, guys. We'll do the attendance part and we'll do the doubt part also there. Guys, please connect to the Zoom meeting quickly, guys. Like we'll do attendance also there, and we'll discuss the assignment also there. So that's why just do it quickly, guys.